Welcome to Spare Talk. This is Rod Weaver. Today is October 23rd, 2024, and today we're bringing you another episode of This Day in Bowling History. And we'll get started right away. We'll start with a news item from the Daily Tribune from 1964 from Warwick, Rhode Island. And the title is Doubles Team Sets Top Duckpin Mark. The mixed doubles team of Maureen Gilberto of Hartford, Connecticut and Howie Hampton of Manchester, Connecticut set a world duckpin bowling record recently in the New England tournament. They bowled a 370 game en route to a 900 series. In the second game, Mrs. Gilberto totaled a 195 and Hampton 175 for a combined score of 370. It betters the listed mark of 360 posted by Lillian Russell and John Gaze, both of Baltimore. From the Washington Daily News from 1958. Another palatial duckpin bowling plant opens to the public Sunday. It's Andy Fontana's Bowlerama at 706 University Boulevard East in Tacoma Park, Maryland. The former Villanova basketball star is now accepting leagues and teams for his 24-alley house. Fontana is interested in forming afternoon ladies' leagues and Saturday junior loops. His lanes are equipped with telescores, telefouls, and automatic pin setters. There's also a Brunswick Pro Shop, where bowling accessories may be purchased, plus a snack bar. Andy plans to have the grand opening ceremonies Sunday, November 2nd, with prizes galore. But his place will be open for bowling all next week. There's plenty of free parking behind the building. In the Roanoke Times from 1976, duckpins are still alive in Roanoke. Many local residents thought duckpin bowling passed away quietly here a couple years ago when Luck Lanes closed. But the little brother of 10-pin bowling is still alive in Roanoke, barely. No, there isn't a secret duckpin lanes operating in the basement of any bar in town. Nothing like that. But there remains 5 die-hard duckpin bowlers who are members of the Virginia Pro Duckpin Tour. With regular pro stops in Richmond, Alexandria, Winchester, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Charlottesville, and Harrisonburg, the largest metropolitan area in the state that doesn't have duckpin lanes is, you guessed it, the Roanoke Valley. But that doesn't stop Ray Saul, his brother Roy, and 3 other duckpin enthusiasts from pursuing their favorite pastime, which also includes Bill Sanford, Bane Key, and Wayne Weeks. We go up to Terrace Bowl in Charlottesville about every other weekend just to keep in shape, said Ray Saul, who has been bowling ducks for most of his 48 years. And then we bowl in the Pro Tour once a month around the state. It might seem difficult for the average 10-pin bowler to understand Saul's preference to ducks, considering the distance he travels in one year, when there are 4 10-pin bowling houses right here in the Roanoke Valley. But neither Saul, who carries a 131 average, nor any of the other members of his group even bowl 10 pins. I bowled in a 10-pin league about 6 or 7 years ago, he recalled, but that was it for me. It just wasn't challenging enough for me. It took me 30 years to get my first 200 games, Saul admitted. But then within a matter of 6 weeks I had about 3 of them. Considering Saul says his 131 compares to about 190 or 210 pins, a 200 duckpin score doesn't come easy. Another item from the Roanoke Times from the year 1960. Claus coming, and that doesn't refer to Santa Claus. If you've been watching Milton Berle's Jackpot Bowling Show on Monday nights, you recently saw Frank Claus win $40,000 by stringing 6 strikes against Billy Golombuski. Well, now you'll have the chance to see Claus in person. Watch him bowl and get a few good pointers from him, because he'll be out at North 11 Lanes on Tuesday and Wednesday, November 1 and 2. Beginning at 10 in the morning both days to hold a bowling clinic. Claus, a member of the AMF staff of champions, will be accompanied by Esther Woods, who will also do some exhibition bowling and conduct a clinic for the lady bowlers in the area. From the year 1852, the Nashville Union and American. And this mostly refers to 10-pin bowling being on a different platform, in that it was used in department stores, or the equivalent of a department store back in those days. The title says, Splendid Prize. To give additional interest to the healthful exercise at our saloon, we will award a splendid gold-headed cane to the person who shall make the largest number of pins in a string of 30 balls on our bowling alley adjoining the theater. The cane is of ebony wood and will be awarded on the last Saturday in August at 11 o'clock p.m. From the Winston-Salem Journal from the year 1957, Junior Bowling Mushrooms Here. The scope of the Saturday junior bowling activity has mushroomed into twice the size of last year's program, Joe White, City Recreation Supervisor, announced yesterday. The program, under the direction of the City Recreation Department and in cooperation of local bowling alleys and the Sertoma Club, will include over 60 teams, White said. Faculty members at every city and county school except Walkertown and Kennersville also work with the program. Last year, 32 teams involving 272 bowlers in 2 leagues participated. This season, 60 teams are already signed up, and several more are expected. Over 600 high school age bowlers will participate in duckpin and 10-pin leagues at 20th Century Bowling Alleys in the new 10-pin alleys on Church Street. Clinics for each type of bowling will precede the opening of scheduled competition. The 2 duckpin leagues will have their clinic Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for the morning leagues and 11 a.m. for the afternoon leagues. League action starts November 2nd. Paul Ebert and members of the adult leagues will conduct the instruction. The 2 10-pin leagues will hold a clinic November 2 and start league action November 9th. Reynolds High School has the biggest representation in the 2 classes, with 18 duckpin teams and 19 10-pin teams. Some of the teams are all girl, some all boy, and some mixed, White said. The scoring is worked on a handicap basis. The bowlers are given reduced rates, which would be 50 cents for 3 lines. The Sertoma Club has doubled its commitment on trophies. It will give trophies to 16 girls and 16 boys, plus team trophies and trophies to the most improved players. The club will also sponsor a tournament January 25th. From the Ledger Enquirer from the year 1937. Series begins here tonight. Special duckpin matches to be bowled at center. 3 special duckpin matches are to be bowled at the Columbus Bowling Center Saturday night beginning at 7:30 o'clock, with teams from Atlanta providing the competition for 3 local teams in the beginning of a series of local encounters that will inaugurate a bowling year that will surpass last year's most successful encounter. A number of teams will be present. The Model Laundry Team of Atlanta will have Mrs. Estelle Warrington, Mrs. Marcia Humans, Mrs. E. Polk, Martha Cleveland, and Miss Helen Bird bowling the 5 men representing the Malone Office Equipment Company of Columbus. Mrs. Warrington will give Columbus bowlers a chance to witness one of the outstanding women bowlers of the South in action. This stellar duckpin smasher holds the local duckpin mark for women for a single game in Atlanta with a count of 172, and a world's record for 3 consecutive games of 453, which she bowled in the Southern Individual Duckpin Championships to win the title last season on the Atlanta Alleys. Beginning her bowling career just 3 years ago, Mrs. Warrington has, through sheer perseverance and determination, risen to top rank among women bowlers. There will be no charge of admission for the special matches Saturday, and Columbus men and women are cordially invited to witness the bowling in these special events. Here's a news item from the year 1790 from the Independent Gazetteer from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This doesn't particularly have to do with bowling itself, but it does have bowling that's associated with the story. It says, great applications having been made to Mr. Figg at the Rainbow in the bowling alley, Westminster, for an explanation of his receipt for curing bites by mad dogs, etc. He declares that having been bit 6 times by mad dogs, he always cured himself by mixing 1 pound of common salt in a quart of water, and then squeeze, bathe, and wash the wound with the same for an hour, and not drink any of it. Then bind a little more salt to the part affected for 12 hours. Mr. Figg offers, though it is presumptuous, to suffer himself to be bit by any mad dog as a testimony to convince any person that what he offers is a matter of fact. And it just says a true copy. But that was almost 225 years ago, I guess being in 1790. So that's quite a bit of history for a bowling reference. An item from the Evening Star from 1956, just a short paragraph. Again, it pertains to youth bowling. It says, some 225 boys and girls showed up Saturday at Frank Turner's Coliseum in Hagerstown, Maryland, for a bowling lesson from Lou Mallets of the National Duckpin Congress. Nearly all of them enrolled for league play to start next Saturday. Turner's picturesque plant will be the scene of the next National Duckpin Match Game Championship, with Jim Wolfensberger of Hagerstown as the defending title holder. So that's a lot of turnout for youth bowlers, over 200. From the year 1994 in the Baltimore Sun, Duckpin Hall has place for area's best. The Baltimore Duckpin Bowlers Association is creating a Hall of Fame, and the inaugural banquet will be conducted on November 20th at the Orchard Beach Hall in Pasadena. Tickets are $20 and reservations can be made by calling Janet Hunt. The first induction will be of bowlers who are already members of the National Hall of Fame. The association has been unable to contact several of the people who are to be inducted. It is looking for William Brosey, Ray Von Driel, Robert Fisher, Winnie Guerke, Nova Hamilton, Lotta Janowitz, Ethel Brewer Miller, John Miller, and Naomi Zimmerman. Here's another Hagerstown, Maryland piece from the Daily Mail from 1958. Again, focuses on Frank Turner Bowling Center. Buzz Fazio, 10-pin bowling star, will will appear here for exhibitions. Champion kegler to roll at Dual Bowling Center. Grand opening of Frank Turner's new 10-pin alleys scheduled for Sunday. Fazio will give instructions free of charge. Buzz Fazio, one of the world's greatest bowlers, has accepted an invitation to participate in the grand opening and dedication of the new 10-pin bowling lanes this coming Sunday afternoon. The internationally famous bowling star, captain of the national champion St. Louis Falstaff's 10-pin team, and a member of the Brunswick advisory staff, will appear in 2 exhibition matches at the local alleys and will be available for giving free instructions to the keglers of this area. On Sunday afternoon, starting at 1:30 p.m., Fazio will roll a 3-game exhibition match against Ben Moody, a Fairchild Aircraft employee from Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, who is one of the top 10-pin bowlers in this part of the country. Scheduled for Sunday evening at 7 p.m. is another match between Fazio and Melvin Chilcote, one of the 10-pin bowling instructors at the new alleys on the Dual Highway. During his stay in Hagerstown, Fazio will be available for Sunday and Monday at the Dual Bowling Center for measuring and fitting 10-pin bowling balls and also for giving free instructions to the bowlers of this area. From 1963, in the Wilkes Barre Times Leader, the Evening News, that's Pennsylvania. The article is just entitled Blow-Ups by Andy Marzich, who is part of the AMF staff of champions. Anytime you hear a bowler gloat, "There goes my mother-in-law," as he flings the ball with all his might, the chances are he is only half kidding. One of the great satisfactions of bowling is letting off steam, which is fine and dandy in a friendly game, but sure death in tough competition for big stakes, such as I faced in becoming the leading money winner on the Professional Bowlers Association Winter and Summer Tournament Tours. You should never take out frustrations in a serious game because the bowler who is blowing his stack invariably heaves the ball too hard for accuracy. All he has in mind is blasting the daylights out of the pins. Blazing through the setup causes splits and poor leaves. Instead of reducing frustration, this kind of bowling increases tension, causing the bowler to choke up and roll even more erratically. Try to leave all your worries, anxieties, and troubles at home when you roll in competition. If you are too keyed up before an important match, relieve the tension by rolling a practice game. Don't worry about the score. You can do that later. After you've let off steam and are ready to bowl with cool calmness in the important match. From the Baltimore Evening Sun of the year 1943, just says, record start. Baltimore has not yet produced a 120 average girl in duckpins, but it has the makings of one this season in Lola Shanahan. Rolling for recreation in the Bowling Exchange Major Wheel, Lola notched sets of 348, 370, 364, and 363 to enter the 120 circles. Then lifted her mark to 124 by rifling games of 113, 159, and 153 for a 425 set, only 15 sticks short of the all-time loop record held by Toots Barger. Night before last, she jumped within 4 actual sticks of 125 when she shot 376 to put her average at 124.14 for 18 games. Lola enjoyed her best season in 1940-41 when she finished 6th in the league with 112.27. Last year her 111.30 was 9th best. Highest average ever posted by a Baltimore Pinette was Miss Barger's 115.88 of 2 years ago. Another item, Arvel Eversole, Secretary of the National Duckpin Congress, reports $250 million in war bond sales as bowling's 1943-44 goal, 1/5 as duckpin's quota, with the rest to be raised in 10-pin territory. Mr. Eversole was in charge of the World War II war bond fund drive, and they would talk to the leagues and get the members to contribute out of their weekly bowling fees. Silver Spring started the ball rolling with a drive that netted over $1 million. Atlanta has just added another $10 million. Coming next are campaigns in Savannah for $250,000, in Columbia, South Carolina for $175,000, in Miami for $150,000. The northern cities have not yet completed their plans. Here's a little story on here's a little paragraph on Nick Rinaldi, the proprietor of a lot of the bowling centers. Nick Rinaldi, Washington Star, now in the Navy, says the sailors at the Bainbridge Naval Training Station are anxious for all-star Baltimore teams to visit there for matches any night but Saturday or Sunday. Rolling must start by 6:30 o'clock so it can be completed before the reservation closes. Bainbridge has 48 alleys, 6 separate installations of 8 alleys each, and it has a 610 average team ready to take on all comers. I think that'll be all for today. I think we covered a pretty good amount of stories. So again, thank you all for watching, and if you want to be notified of future videos, hit the subscribe button, and have a good day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.